One Africa, one world on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident, it's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. Are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to
This is Jafric Radio.
After Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji,
This is Jafric Radio.
We said, next stop, we are going to alight.
This is Jafric Radio.
The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
One Africa, one world on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident, it's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. Are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
One Africa, one world on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident, it's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. Are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
One Africa, one world on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident, it's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. Are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
In every fortnight to hear inspiring, thought-provoking, and sometimes humorous conversations about life as an African in Japan. Don't miss One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the voice of Africans in Japan. Africa, One World on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident. It's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. What are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
Are you an African living in Japan? Do you have a story to share about your experiences in this fascinating country? Join Emmanuel Akyereko on One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the program that connects Africans in Japan and shares their unique stories, from immigration issues to cultural shocks and from racial challenges to unforgettable moments. We will explore it all. Tune in every fortnight to hear inspiring, thought-provoking and sometimes humorous conversations about life as an African in Japan. Don't miss One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the voice of Africans in Japan. One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. We used the subway. When we arrived, I was very confident. It's this way. But when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So we started following the crowd, but the crowd kept on reducing. Then a guy said, but this is fourth floor. What are you sure we are going to exit through the fourth floor? Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
Are you an African living in Japan? Do you have a story to share about your experiences in this fascinating country? Join Emmanuel Akyereko on One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the program that connects Africans in Japan and shares their unique stories, from immigration issues to cultural shocks and from racial challenges to unforgettable moments. We will explore it all. Tune in every fortnight to hear inspiring, thought-provoking and sometimes humorous conversations about life as an African in Japan. Don't miss One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the voice of Africans in Japan.
So in that hotel, we were buying food from the family mart. When I bought something thinking that it's a different thing, when I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away. There's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. We entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from.
Are you an African living in Japan? Do you have a story to share about your experiences in this fascinating country? Join Emmanuel Akyereko on One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the program that connects Africans in Japan and shares their unique stories, from immigration issues to cultural shocks and from racial challenges to unforgettable moments. We will explore it all. Tune in every fortnight to hear inspiring, thought-provoking and sometimes humorous conversations about life as an African in Japan. Don't miss One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the voice of Africans in Japan.
Last edition, we caught up with Christian from Nigeria. Today, we are flying 3,871 kilometers across to the northwestern part of Nairobi in the city of Nakuru. where Protus Omondi is our guest on the One Africa, One World show. Protus, welcome to One Africa, One World.
Thank you.
How is the winter treating you?
I mean, right now I'm kind of used to, but when I came, it was a bit tougher.
Is it your first winter here in Japan, or you've experienced other winters?
This is like my fourth time.
Fourth winter. So which means that you are coping fine. You are not having any challenge with frozen fingers, struggling to cope with the weather conditions.
I can't complain.
You can't complain. Well, that's a tough mind. We are diving into it. Can you give us a brief background of where Protus Omondi comes from?
So I was born and raised in a city called Nakuru.
Okay.
Nakuru is in the Rift Valley of Kenya. It's called a Rift Valley, but the city is not far away from the capital city, which is Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah, I started my journey there, education. Although after that I went to Nairobi.
Okay.
Where I did my degrees, and then later on I'm here.
Okay. Nairobi or Kenya is a tourist hub in Africa, one of the biggest tourist hub in Africa, where a lot of people fly in. But for anybody listening to us from within Japan, from any other part of the world who doesn't have an experience or doesn't have any knowledge about what Kenya represents, what is largely the image of Kenya?
First of all, Kenya has a perfect weather for anybody. As far as I'm kind of comparing with Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, like you've mentioned, is a tourist hub. Like in Kenya, we register a lot of tourists all the time because we have a lot of national parks. In fact, Nairobi, like the capital city, has a national park. Like 20 minutes from the airport, you can go to the national park. We also have like the coastal area of Kenya called Mombasa. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, many tourists like it. Yeah, we have a couple of mountains, Mount Kenya. We have a big, a fresh water lake called Lake Victoria. As you know, this lake borders Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and some parts of Rwanda. Yeah, and most important, Kenya is very friendly for tourists. They like it. Yeah, but most importantly, I think what attracts many is the national parks and those historical sites. We have a couple of historical sites during the independence and the past history. There is a lot of information that has been captured. So many people usually travel and enjoy such. Yeah.
Wow, but before traveling to Japan, did you have experience from traveling to any other countries, whether in within Africa, outside of Africa, in Europe, the Americas, now Asia?
Yeah, funny thing is, like, Japan is my first country to travel abroad.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, so before you traveled to Japan, how did you perceive the country? What image, what impression did you have about Japan before you traveled here?
Yeah, of course, I did some research. In real life, I'm a researcher, so I had to do some. So I had that image of what I found from the internet, and also I had I'd encountered some Japanese back in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, I knew Japan is, of course, it's a developed country. And also, I had this image of, funny thing, I knew like it's a country where people speak English a lot. That was in my mind. actually.
That was in your
But I
mind.
think that is because the Japanese guys that I met in Kenya, they were so good in English.
Hmm.
We had a very good communication, so I knew, yeah. But in mind, I knew in terms of, because I was coming to like to do more of research. So in my mind, I had
Hmm.
a bit of a more advanced technology, some kind of something different from Nairobi.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And do you remember the exact date you arrived in Japan?
yeah, of course.
I guess it's a day you'll never forget. What was the day?
I, I think I remember even the time that I arrived in Japan.
Oh, you remember the time. So tell us the day, the date, the
Mhm.
time, and the airport.
Okay. So I arrived here in Japan on 6th of December. That was 2020.
Hmm.
Uh, I landed at Narita
Narita, okay.
Airport. Remember that was
Hmm.
during COVID, so I was
COVID. I was
coming
going to
to
come. I
Osaka
was
on
going
my
to come to
final.
that.
Mm,
I was going to come to that because you mentioned 2020. I was going to ask you that was within the COVID period. So how did the whole
mhm.
reception and the
Yeah,
immigration process go?
it was crazy. It was crazy,
Mm,
but I was surprised. You know,
mm,
back in Kenya, it
mm,
was very rough. Like people who were traveling from, like people who were entering Kenya from outside. There was a lot of challenges because people were asked to do like the quarantine in
mm,
Kenya. Some were taken to government facilities, some were taken to even universities. Like, I mean, it was very tough for people who are landing
mm.
in Kenya from other countries. But
Yes.
for me now, when I arrived here, the situation was different in a way that we were received so well actually, and we were taken to a very fancy hotel. I was surprised.
Mm.
It was,
What's
I
the name of
mean,
the
I think it
hotel?
was a five. It was called Anna Crown.
Anakran Hotel in Tokyo.
It's in Narita. It's not far from the Narita airport.
Okay.
It was a good hotel, very fancy. I think it's a
Mm.
five-star hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Was it
although
at a cost to you,
mhm.
or was it at a cost to you or free of charge?
Oh, so because I was like a government sponsored student, I was like,
Mm.
it was free. Everything was catered for.
By the
We
Japanese
only had
government.
to, yeah. So we only had to take care of food and other stuff, but the hotel and, I mean, the accommodation in full was taken care of,
Mm.
and it was a good hotel. In fact, I was surprised because what was happening in Kenya, it was kind of the exact opposite. That was around midnight. I was so tired, so we were. I think we there was a car waiting for us at the airport. I was with my friend, so we went straight to the hotel. Then it was time to take a rest. I mean, it was good. First day, my experience wasn't that bad, I can say.
Mm. So tell
Yeah.
us, what was your immediate experience upon arriving in Japan in Narita?
Mm,
Apart from the
mm,
fancy hotel they took you to and then the
mm,
reception,
mm, mm,
what was your
mm.
immediate experience, your immediate impression or cultural
Mhm,
shock
mhm.
at the airport before you even got out?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I might point out this, that when I came to Japan, I have two experience. The first one
Mm.
is when I arrived at the hotel, and the second one is when now I went to the outside world of Japan. When I came to Osaka
Yeah.
now, so maybe I will talk about that later.
Okay. Okay.
But
Later on.
so for the one in Narita, I mean, everything was like, it was like a programmed. You see the way a system is being programmed. Like when we arrived,
Yeah.
we were just directed from this part to
Yeah.
the other. Next,
Yeah.
but we took almost 2 hours at the airport. Like it was a very long process.
Because of the COVID
Like,
protocols.
yeah, there was a lot of protocols. I was like, what? But everything was systematically. Like it was a planned thing.
Mm.
It was very cold. I can tell you. Inside the airport, it was okay, but the moment we
Mm.
stepped out now to board the taxi, that's when I
Mm.
felt it, and I was like, wow, this is a new world,
Wow.
you
This
know?
is Japan. It was like,
Yeah.
welcome to Japan.
Welcome to
Welcome to
Japan.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Did the immigration officers and then the COVID control officers try speaking some Japanese to you and you didn't understand, and you have to do like, what are you
I mean,
saying?
at
And
the
then,
airport, at the airport, it's pretty different. They try, they speak English. I mean, even now, if you go to the airport, there are those. I mean, I think some of the requirements for them to work there is usually a bit of English speaking. So that was not a problem at the airport. The problem now was when I stepped outside, when I started meeting people like the taxi guy. He was an old man who doesn't even know a word. Maybe just hello, but he was speaking purely Japanese.
now you've come out of the airport, you have gone into your five-star hotel, right? So you are exposed to the outside world. I want us to discuss your first cultural shock, like something that, wow, this is, I researched, I did everything, but hey, this is the reality. What's your first cultural shock?
So I mean, like for me, for the first thing that I really experienced, and it was so tough for me, it was when I went to the Family Mart. So in that hotel, we were buying food from the Family Mart.
Yes, I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a Family Mart. You can see some things they look familiar from the look.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was surprised because I walked around like 2 times, but I couldn't understand any of them. Like some look like bread, but they're not bread. So I was really confused. Like I was like, it was really a serious shock for me. Then even the worst happened when I bought something thinking that it's a different thing. When I went to my room, I couldn't even eat it. I just tried it and I had to throw it away.
Wait, what
So
was
in
it?
this, a plate of rice and something. It looked so nice. I mean, something like meat and something. But when I went to the room and opened it, oh my gosh, the taste was the weirdest thing I've ever tried in my life. I couldn't even try
That
it.
so you couldn't eat it.
I couldn't eat it. It was so tough for me. Like
Oh.
I've never had such a taste. Like something it's not salty. You know, in Kenya we are used to something that is salty, either salty or
Mm.
sweet. But this was a kind
Mm.
of a very weird taste for me.
And I guess you were very,
To
very
be honest,
disappointed.
I was so disappointed. That first day, the first 2, 3 days I had to survive only on milk and bread.
Didn't you travel to Japan with any food from Kenya? Food that you are used to?
Of course, I came with some packet of corn flour. This we call it as
Mm.
a unga or ugali for making kind of. I don't know how you call
Mm.
it in your country, but corn flour. It's one of the
Yeah,
staple food in Kenya.
we call it banku or kenke.
So I carried the packets of them, but you know that one you have to cook. You have to make it for yourself.
Mm.
I didn't
Yeah.
carry anything that is ready to be eaten. So
Uh,
I had to survive on the Family Mart.
mm.
Man, it was tough. So the thing that was very tough for me was like when I'm going to bed in the morning, I usually wake up, I'm feeling I'm starving.
Mm.
I'm starving, but I don't
Oh,
know what I'm going to buy.
you're going to
Like,
buy.
because I know what I'm going to expect down there. It's very tough.
Mm.
But like I see
Wow.
people are very comfortable, people are buying things, other foreigners are very much okay. But for me, it was tough. I can tell you for sure.
At what point did you move out of the hotel in Narita, and where did you move from? From Narita at the airport to, I'm talking about a five-star hotel. When did you move
Yes.
out? That that point, and to where? Did you come straight to Osaka or to which point? At the time that
Yeah.
you left the
So
hotel.
after, yeah. So the idea was like the plan was that we stay there for 14 days, then we come to Osaka,
Mm.
where now we've reserved our rooms and everything was set. So after 14 days, we boarded a flight to Osaka. Then now that is when now we face the real world. You know, at the hotel it was just like a confined place.
Mm.
You go to
Mm.
the basement, the first floor, Family Mart,
Mm.
go back to your hotel. You enjoy life. I mean, it
Mm.
was like a relaxing period.
Mm.
But then even I was not even feeling like the way it's cold. Very to be honest, the weather was so
Mm.
nice. But then when we came to Osaka, that was when now I faced now the reality about Japan. Honestly, that was serious. That is now when I
Mm.
felt like, wow, now this is serious. It's Japan.
What did you move from Tokyo to Osaka? And how was it
Ah,
by
okay.
another flight? Was it by another flight or was it by Shinkansen or how did you get to Osaka? Or was it by night bus?
No, it was a domestic flight. I can remember. So we just went to the
Okay.
same airport, but now a different
A
wing where
different
we took
terminal.
the. Yeah, exactly. We took a jet star to Osaka. That was on 21st. Remember, I arrived on 6th,
On the 6th of December.
on the 6th of December. So that was on 21st.
So 15 days later.
Yes, 15 days later,
Okay.
I came
So
to
you moved
now
to
I came
Osaka.
to Osaka.
How different did you find Osaka from Tokyo?
No, I mean, first, one thing that was very serious is it was very cold. I can say that. That was
In Osaka more than Tokyo.
in Osaka. I didn't experience anything in Tokyo because I went straight to the hotel. And for those 14 days, we were staying inside the hotel. So
The
that
convenience shop
day,
to buy.
exactly, it wasn't such too much of an experience. It was just enjoying the. In fact, I was more into Kenyan because I was kind
Mm,
of doing a lot of video calls with my people from home, more than what I'm seeing outside. Outside was just looking up and down,
mm,
right through the windows. But now in Osaka, that is when I stepped outside. Like
mm.
now I'm outside Japan, right? That was on
Okay.
21st.
That's on
Yeah,
the 21st.
the airports as usual, things were pretty much the same. I mean, everything was planned systematically. People are smiling, like you have said. Like it was customer service. That's what I can tell you. So then
Mm.
I was received by a friend from our university on that 21st.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
that was now
so
the. Mhm.
now, how did you begin your student life? Like you now, I don't know whether it started immediately or you began it as a when. Tell us this.
Yeah. So first of all, I can say, like, I came to do my PhD, to be precise.
Mm,
I'm doing a PhD in medical science. So I had started communications with my professor
mm,
even long before I was in Kenya. So it was some kind of just an ongoing process.
mm,
So when I came to Osaka, the following day I went to the. No, actually, the same day I
mm,
arrived in Osaka, because to them I had stayed in Japan for long. That same
mm,
day, I went to my university to see my professor.
mm.
But it was
And
very
and
funny.
so you
Maybe I
went to
can explain
campus.
to you how it happened.
Well, I was going to come there. Tell us because I was going to ask you because you
Yeah,
attended.
that day was funny.
Oh, tell us that one. We are
So
interested.
that day it happened like this. So we arrived at the airport. Our friend, I was with my friend still from Kenya. So
Mm,
a friend from the university came to receive us.
mm,
A pretty nice one. My first experience for the Japanese electric trains. Then we
mm,
came to now to Osaka, where
mm.
we had our rooms were.
Wait,
Immediately we
when
arrived,
you
there
talk about
was.
Protas, wait.
mm,
When you talk about the electric trains, are
mm,
you referring to Shinkansen or the normal
Not
train system that
Shinkansen,
we?
the normal train system.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please
so far
continue.
I have not experienced any Shinkansen. I just,
Okay.
in fact, I maybe if you ask me if is this a Shinkansen, I would have said yes. But
Ah.
in Kenya, these our trains they're always full. Especially, you can't even get a place to sit. People are always standing. So we
Mm,
had our suitcases, but we got a place to sit, and yeah, we came all the way until our our local station here. Then we went straight to our rooms.
mm,
When we arrived there, we met the manager of the hotel, of the apartments. Oh my God, that time I was really starving because remember I left the hotel, I had not eaten anything. My mind was just, when I arrive, the first thing I'm going to do is to buy something. Even if it's a snack, I really need to eat something. So we arrived, but we found this manager had a lot of paperwork, like almost 15 pages. So we need to fill up things here and there, here and there. We tried to explain to him, hey, can we go and grab something to eat and then come back? No, he said, you can't enter your room if you haven't finished this paperwork. So the guy was so serious about it. Like, you have to fill all these things before even you can do the next thing. My friend was also complaining and I was also complaining a lot, but there was nothing to do. He was smiling, but he was very serious, by the way, to be honest. So we finished the paperwork. Then thereafter, after a couple of few hours, now we said this friend was going back to the university. So we said we are going to accompany her to the university. On our way, we can grab something to eat. Yeah. She even recommended something. She told us, you guys can try this food. It's good. Yeah, we went so the first meal I ate, like Japanese meal, was ramen. It was pretty nice. I liked it. But I asked myself, I didn't find such thing in the Family Mart back in Tokyo. Anyway, it was outside, so yeah, I understood it. But then this friend was telling us, please make sure you understand the way we are going, because you guys, we were going to come back by ourselves. So we went to the train. She told us, hey, from here, you gotta stop from here. Make sure you exchange. So there's a way we are supposed to exchange a train to take maybe the local one. But we were not understanding anything. She said rapid and then local. We were confused. But then again, because we were with her, we were not so careful. We went to Tenoji, then straight to the university where our campus is. Yeah, we met we found a very good reception. Our professor was waiting for us. He introduced us to everybody. Everybody was just bowing. I said thank you like 100 times because everybody was just, hey. Everybody was bowing. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And then it's like they were told these guys are from Kenya. They speak English. So at least some of the colleagues, they knew. I mean, they could speak some good English. So at least that the introduction was pretty okay. So after the university, we met some people. We were introduced. We were given spaces where we are going to sit. Then, I mean, we had not settled. Our mind was not even there. We were just thinking about how we are going back. We should go back to our rooms, plan how we are going to sleep and everything. So we didn't even stay there for long. After that, we went to grab some clothes. But then it was so expensive, actually. We were surprised also.
But it depends on the place that you decided to go and buy.
We were advised this is the cheapest. And we imagine they are telling us this is the cheapest, but for us, we are surprised.
Do you still remember the place?
Yes.
Do you still remember the place you went to?
Uniqlo and Gio. We were told these are the cheapest places, like where you. But we were surprised. It was very expensive.
How much? How much was it?
6,000, 7,000. You know, that's a lot of money. Like just one cloth, 7,000.
So when you convert 7,000 yen to Kenyan currency, how much was it? How much were you paying for the jacket?
It's almost the same. It's almost the same. In fact, right now,
like
Kenyan
in terms of
money
the purchase, I'm talking in terms of the purchasing power in Kenyan currency.
Purchasing power, Kenyan currency, of course. First of all, the rates are the same, almost the same by then. 1-1, right? But purchasing power, that 6,000 in Kenya is a lot of money. You can do a lot of things, I can tell you. Like for just a winter cloth, you can only spend less than 1,000. But here you're telling me, you're telling me this 6,000, I will only get one
cloth.
one cloth. It was tough. So, and to make the matter worse, the friend who took us to the Uniqlo, for her it was normal. So we couldn't show that, hey, we are shocked. You see, she was telling us, this is very affordable. And you know, it's not. For you, it's not.
Let's be real here. We are guys. If it was your colleague male, if it was a guy, you're going to tell a challenge, this thing is too expensive. But because it was a lady, you
yes, definitely. We had to pretend like it's okay. In fact, but we only picked like two, and then we say, hey, the rest we're going to. She even asked us, are you sure these are enough? We said yes, we have more, but we didn't have anything. This was like we just had to buy, man.
For you, who is almost an academician, you've done your degrees, you've gone to school, like almost everything in Africa. Now you come to a campus in Japan. What was the difference? Tell us the difference. Like you entered your campus in Japan, and then wow, or it's normal, because the thing that I used to see in Kenya, almost everything is here. How was the experience upon entering the campus?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very significant difference in many things. To start with, I will say, like, back in Kenya, like an institution, there is like a serious gate going to the university. At the entrance, of course, even here we show our ID, but it's something very, very casual, like you guys just go. But in Kenya, first of all, even before you arrive, there's an entrance, a very big gate showing this is the university. Our campus was just like just going to a mall. It's like entering the mall. Very easy. Just to start with a very simple difference. But then when we entered into the building itself now, it didn't even look, like I'm doing a medical research. It didn't look like a university. It looked more of a hospital or a research institute, Like, first thing I expected, I would see classes, I would see many students. No, that was not the case. What I met people wearing lab coats. And it's not populated like, so many students the way I expected. In Kenya, if you go to the university, there are a lot of people, a lot of students carrying their backpacks, people moving up and down. Some are going to the classes, but here it was pretty relaxed environment. I went to the lab. The lab was like people are doing their own things. It's just like an office, not like a school, right? That is now, if I'm talking about what I saw first. But now, before going now to the education system, but it was pretty different. In fact, I even went to the main campus. The main campus is now, it's where I'm now. Many other faculties or schools are there, like other courses. And I was also surprised. Things were also pretty the same. The environment is so relaxed. The population is not so much. People are not moving up and down. You can't even see, like, it's so different. If I can tell you, like, from what I saw, like, I left in Kenya. So that was really surprising to me, because I was like, where are the students? I can't see them. I expected to see many people going to classes, people rushing. No.
Your research program, your activities as a student in Japan, are they coordinated in English, or they are conducted in Japanese?
Yeah, they are coordinated in English, because for most part of it was more of it's more of lab work. Like, I spend a lot of my time in the lab, not in classes. So I just communicate with my professor. I go to the lab, I do my work. Only few occasions we have like classes, and the classes here are very funny. People go to class, whether it's in Japanese or in English. Some classes are in English, are taught in English, some are taught in Japanese. But the funny thing is, the lecturer will come, we will talk. After finishing, that's all. People will be sleeping, some will be doing their things, no questions. People are just, okay, that's all. The class is over, and people will go. No introduction, like, hey. Yeah.
How do you manage with the lessons that are conducted in Japanese? How do you manage with it?
So for those ones, they share some materials, reading materials with us. So we just have to do our kind of a self-study. And mostly for my program, the classes were not so serious. It was more of just attendance, you know. I know some other levels, like people who are doing like masters or undergraduates, for them, they have to do even serious exams. Like whatever you're taught in class, it has to be. For us, it was not that serious. So we were prepared. We were told, don't worry, you don't even have to learn Japanese. We were given some opportunities for Japanese classes, but we were not serious. We used to attend like once in a week, but sometimes we attended, sometimes we were missing because we were not serious, because we couldn't see how we are going to apply it, like in our studies. Yeah, so mostly.
But on a personal level, have you made any attempt to try and learn Japanese language on your own, maybe for future use or for personal use?
Yeah, so when I came, there was that excitement, especially after I've realized that I can go to a shop and get confused, like what I did in the Family Mart. So I told myself, I'm going to be serious. That class, the classes we were offered, I said I'm going to be serious. Our secretary was very good. She speaks English, and then she gave us some materials also to read. But that was just the beginning. After some times, I kind of got bored. I only learned some few things, greetings, like just the basics, honestly. I didn't go
so what
deep. In fact,
so basics, like what can you manage?
Like, I mean, basics like if I go to the supermarket, if I'm looking for something, I can say the name of that thing and then I can ask, right? If I'm going to restaurant to ask to buy food. And then what I did also is to learn from my Japanese colleagues. When we go out, I'm always observant. I can hear what they are saying, and then I can ask them, what does that word mean? Right? Then they can explain to me. But I realized without like that serious learning, I was not making any progress. That was a big problem.
So you've been in Japan from
2020 December.
Yeah, up to now. So you are entering into your fifth year in Japan. What has been the greatest lesson that you've learned in Japan for the 4 years that you've been here?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things I have learned is I've learned to interact with the people from different countries, not just Japanese. I have met people like you. I have met other Asians. I've met many foreigners, I can say. So I've learned that how to interact with them. Some of them are different. The way you approach them, it's so different. Like, you don't just approach someone like the way I will approach a common Kenyan, right? Some people, the way you approach them is different. Sometimes you will find me, I'm very talkative, but in some population, I'm very silent. So that is one of the key things that I've really learned. The rest, maybe it entails more of the Japanese culture. More of the culture and other things about Japan.
Your funniest ever moment in Japan for the 4 years. I want me and my producer and everybody watching to be laughing. Tell us something.
One of the funniest I ever experienced was like I mentioned, when I came with my friend, we plan to go out sometimes. Like on a weekend, we want to go somewhere. So there's one day we took a train to a station after Tenoji. So we are going to pass Tenoji, then the next station. So that train, we know it will go to Tenoji, then it will pass Tenoji to another station, to the next one.
Shinimamia.
So, yeah, Shinimamia to be specific. So this is a loop line train. We know after Tenoji, it's going to Shinimamia. Yeah, so we entered, we were very confident. When we arrived at Tenoji, it stopped. And then we said, next stop, we are going to alight. So we waited. The train got full. But then it started going the direction that we were coming from. You see, only to Tenoji was the last stop, but it was now going back to where we came from. So we were like, oh my God. And so the funny thing is that we realized the train stayed in Tenoji for almost 15 minutes, almost 10
And
minutes.
you were in.
We were still seated, we were very comfortably. In fact, when he arrived, everybody went outside. Then people started coming in. So for us, we were like, the next stop
when a train stops like that, the announcer in the train will say that this is the last stop for this train. So everybody gets out, but you were still sitting.
It was announced in Japanese, so we couldn't hear anything. So something was telling me, you guys, are you sure? But then we say, we are okay. So we had to go back to the immediate station. Then we came back again. Then now we had to change to Shinimamia, to the train that goes to Shinimamia. Then there was another experience also with the trains also.
Okay.
I went to Namba with my friend. So I was going to show my friends some places in Namba. So I was kind of the leader of that park, you know. I was the leader of that park. So I'm like, hey, I know this place very well. But then a mistake happened. A friend said, we can use a subway. I'm not used to the subway, you know. I'm used to the normal Nankai line. Because I know when I arrived, I know how I'm going to exit. And how from when I reach outside, I know how to maneuver outside. So when we arrived, I realized, no, this is not the normal place that I'm used to exiting from. So they were following me because even them, they didn't understand. They did not know the place very well. So we started following the crowd. But the crowd kept on reducing. So that was I think the subway is like at the B1, right?
Yeah.
Before now you go to the first floor where now people can exit.
Yeah.
So we started going, we're just going, find an escalator, we continue going up. we keep going. Then I'm like looking for this exit. Where is this exit? And for them, they're very comfortable following me. Then
you claim yourself the all-knowing leader and they are following you.
Yes, I know everything, so they're following me. They're also just like me, they don't understand. It's their first time, I think. So we are just going. We find an escalator. No, I tell them, this is the one. They follow me, we go. Then a guy said, but this is 4th floor. What are you sure we are going to exit through the 4th floor? So they followed me until we arrived in 4th floor. Then we found ourselves in a very expensive shop. I think it was selling like jewelries and suits. Then those guys were like looking at us as if we are lost. And for us,
you were lost.
We were lost, but they already know these guys are confused. And from the look, they don't think we are coming to buy something there.
Buy expensive jewels.
So we realized this is the 4th floor. So we had to find our way back. But then now from there we were able now to maneuver because the moment we arrived at the 1st floor, we managed. So when I came to remember about that thing, I was like, I just laughed at myself because it was very weird. Right now I know the place so well to an extent that I can't imagine it was me who got lost like that. There was also another, I think this was at the airport or somewhere. It was in somewhere in Umeda or something. I went to the this these Japanese toilets are so
Mm, mm,
sophisticated, right?
mm, mm, mm,
So I went, I helped myself, but then ah, with all the confidence, the time to flash, I was like, this
mm.
is the button, but I pressed the the wrong button. It started. I was shocked because the water started spraying like this. You know this. Imagine
Yeah.
I pressed the wrong button. Then
Mm.
I was surprised because it started spraying all over.
All over.
Then to make the matter worse, instead of now pressing the stop, I press the one that increases the speed. So I told myself, I'm gonna press all of them until I find the one that will flash.
Find one.
Because the first thing I did was to look everywhere. Which part is for flashing, flashing? But then I saw it must be these buttons here. I pressed. But I was surprised. It was kinda it was the way I left that hotel, that toilet, I was it was in a mess. It was wet.
What could you describe as your saddest moment ever in Japan, and what has it been?
Yeah, actually, I would say I will call them moments because it's something that I usually experience. So mostly, like in Kenya, when I go home, the first thing I always do, I say hi to my people. Then immediately I just go out. I see my friends. I can. There are a lot of things to do outside. Just walk around, go outside with my friends. Like it's very busy back home. Busy doing nothing. I mean, but not
Mm,
staying at the house. I'm not that kind of a person.
mm,
So, but in Japan, sometimes, especially on weekends, I usually find myself like I'm inside the house. I have no place to go. I don't know what or who I'm going to go out with. Sometimes even
mm,
the weather is not good. So the only thing I have to do is just to stay in my room like the whole day. Believe me,
mm,
that is something that usually makes me so sad because like I especially when I imagine if I was in Kenya, this is on a Saturday morning, I could be doing a
mm.
lot of things, but now I have nothing. I just have to stay inside this small room here. That really makes me sad, I can tell you. It's very
Is it?
very challenging sometimes.
Yeah. Is it because the the world outside, the Japanese world outside?
Mm,
That's what I'm talking about.
mm,
Uh,
mm, mm, mm.
it doesn't have the kind of cultural experience that you used to have in Kenya.
Yeah, I can say that because sometimes when I imagine even going outside, where am I going to? Of course, I've sometimes we plan with friends, we go, but always it's all about going to a restaurant to eat together. It entails spending money. Of course, sometimes I go to the park, maybe with my bike. I go and enjoy the park. But sometimes I've really like I can't watch. I've watched a movie all the time. I'm tired. I can't study. I can't do anything. I just need to go out and maybe meet my friends. To be honest, that social life is one thing that we are really, really missing here. And if someone is not kind of going to make a step, even to try as much as possible to even to find a bit of that social life here, it's going to be very difficult for them. So I believe, of course, there are some initiatives that are there. Like we have like Africans, we also have Kenyans in Japan. We have such kind of platforms. But I
Mm,
can tell you, it can never fit the kind of social life that we have back home. I mean, it's something that we really need to keep on working on until because we really need to help people. People are going through a lot, especially when people have depression. It's a lot of there's a lot of challenges out there, and people really need this social life to be able to manage. Mm.
mm. Have you ever experienced any form of racism in Japan? Being it in your school, in the home where you live, on the street, at the company or in the train?
Yeah, I've experienced some tough moments or
Tell us,
situations,
share
let
that
me
with
say.
us.
Yeah, so for instance, that for the train is very common, but there is this one that I didn't like it. So there is this walking in a pedestrian walk. Then on the other side we have now the main road where the cars are passing, the vehicles. So there is this person who is coming in front of me, and then there is me coming. So we are kind of going to meet at some point. But then this person, the moment they see me, they cross to the other side, right? It's better even they got hit by the car, but they don't really want to encounter me on this road. So at first I was like, maybe this person is trying to, but I realized the moment we passed each other, though he was on the other side of the road, he came back to the pedestrian walk. So the thing is, he was trying to avoid me. That is what I concluded. And it was the moment I realized it's not happening just once. Of course, it's not like it's not common, but it happens. I can tell you. Like this person sees you, the moment they see you, their first reaction is, in fact, sometimes I ask myself, like, this is their country. Why are you afraid of me? Like, I mean, in Kenya, you will feel more comfortable when I see it. I will expect even a foreigner to be scared of me rather than me getting scared of them. But this person, when they see me, it's like, I don't know if it's racism or they are scared, but immediately they see me, they kind of move to far away from a place where we can kind of cross each other. They go to the other side, then the moment you pass, they kind of come back. Of course, for the train is normal because sometimes it happens when you are seated somewhere on the train, no one can come and sit, but during the rush hour moments, they don't care about that. So I can't complain so much about that. But this other one, whereby when a person sees you like you're coming, or even if you are behind them, and then they see you, their reaction will really make you feel so bad. That one has really happened to me, I can tell you.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's an issue that needs to be tackled properly, and that is the reason why we are trying to sort of create this platform to try and shine the spotlight on Africans living in Japan. Even if some Africans have done something bad in the past in Japan, doesn't mean every other African who is living in Japan is either a criminal or it's justified to categorize them in a way that is not fair or just, because we are human beings from the same planet. It's blood that rushes through the veins of everyone. You've had an experience with something you can classify as racism on the street. You've shared that experience. Have you ever been stopped by the police where they normally find they have a taxes that they will use to stop you, and then subsequently they ask you for your resident card, this, that, and then they start have you ever had such experience?
Yeah, so to be honest, I've had my friends talking about it, but personally, I've never encountered such an experience. Like, I've never met a police like asking me my ID or residence card. Never. To me personally, I've never. But I know my friends usually tell me, yeah, yesterday I met a police. They were asking me for this and this. Yeah, but personally, I've never experienced any.
Do you think that if there's a way that the Japanese society should change a little bit in terms of their reception to foreigners and black people, if there's one thing that they have to change about it in terms of what you've observed in Japan for all these 4 years entering into your fifth year, what would be the one thing that you suggest?
Yeah. I think I've pretty had my own share of experience, and one thing that I would really want to see them do is I want to see them like being honest in a way that they need to think outside the box. Like, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be confined in a very small place. They need to be open-minded in a way that if somebody wants to do something, they don't necessarily have to think about how the system says it's supposed to be done. I mean, some things are not bad to do, But it's always good to be open-minded when you want to do something. But you find them, like for them, especially I have some colleagues, when they want to do something, if for instance I have a good experience on that thing, I will try to share that thing with them. But to be honest, they would rather listen to somebody or a fellow Japanese who is not experienced on that thing rather than me. You know, like I'm trying to show them like this is the way it should be done, the simplest way, like an open way, like a more simpler way, or like because I've done it many times. But for them, they would rather follow or be confined in one place. That applies even to the young people. I mean, the young people would really love to see them being open-minded. They now have exposure to the outside world. They have the internet, they have everything. Why don't they just have their own dreams, do whatever they want to do, and not just be confined in one? I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And
And of
I
course,
understand what you're saying.
so I went to send some documents, not documents. So that time I had traveled to Kenya, then I came back with some items I wanted to send to my friend in another prefecture. So I went to
So you're
a
doing tech
convenience
cubing.
store.
That's the name of it. It's called tech cubing.
Mm. So I wanted to send some things. So I went there without a box.
Mm.
So I just carried them in a bag. Then I told myself when I reach there, I will maybe buy a box so that I can put them and close it very well. But believe me, getting that box, we spent there 10 minutes. I'm asking, she goes inside and come with something different. I'm trying to say the box. I even tried to translate. Nowhere. We couldn't understand each other until I just had to go back, look for a box, and then came now with the items in a box. Can you imagine just requesting for the box? And they have boxes there.
Mm.
They usually, I went before I had gone with another friend, and I think the friend asked for a box and he was given. But because I couldn't manage to speak the language, it was very hard for us to understand just because I needed the box. And I tried to explain using gestures because now I have the item, I'm only missing the box. But
Mm.
she said, without the box, we cannot send. But I'm trying to ask her for the box, but that was the end of that story. I had to go back to my house with my
You go
things.
back. Have you
Imagine, yeah.
have
So
you have you ever misplaced your item in Japan that was ever returned to you?
I think I misplaced my Ikoka card, but I didn't find it, to be honest.
Oh,
It had,
tell us. You're interested. How did it happen? How and where?
so actually it happened. I lost it in a very mysterious way. So I left with my card.
Mm.
I think I even uh, I charged it at the station. Then, of course, as usual, I passed the system. I went to the station. I boarded the train. So the next stop, I was going to exchange to another line. I couldn't find my card. So I knew I lost it in between the place where I took the train and where I was that time, that station where I was to change. I tried to at that time, because I was rushing to work. I had to look for an alternative. But later on, I came back to try to ask if at the officers at the station, but I never found it, to be honest. It went with my 1,500 just like that.
Oh, there was even money inside. For the 4 years, what has been your favorite Japanese delicacy?
From best, this really is more linked to my Kenyan culture, because back in Kenya, I'm from a tribe called the Luo. In the Luos, they mostly from the Lake Victoria region, the one I mentioned, the freshwater lake. So they eat a lot of fish there. So, of course, in Japan, we have a lot of seafood. So the first thing that I really got impressed with, this is after adapting, I kind of grew my interest with the seafood. I like a lot of this fish. Even sushi, I really like it. I would rather prefer the seafood than these fried things in Japan. I know many people will go for the fried food because they more resemble what we eat back at home. So, but for me, I'm really more into the seafood. I would like to eat. I prefer eating things like sushi. I prefer things like the boiled fish, maybe fried fish, but not more of the other kind of Japanese food.
So
Yeah.
you don't like obento and those kind of foods.
Especially, I told you I had a bad experience with Obento when I arrived in Japan. So since then, I've never liked Obento, especially when I see something that looks like a soup that is maybe already dried. I don't want. I had a bad
uh,
experience, and from then
you've never been a
yeah,
fan of
my
obento.
interest has never, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, moving on. How many
Mhm.
Japanese cities have you traveled to, and which one has been your favorite ever since you've been here, and why is that city your favorite?
Okay, I have been to Hokkaido like 3 times.
Hokkaido. Okay, that's the
I
northern part
have been,
of.
yes, the northern part of Japan.
You've been there 3 times.
Uh-huh. Yes,
Well, I learned
mainly
it's very
I was going to. Mhm.
I learned it's very cold in
It's very cold,
Hokkaido.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's very cold, but fortunately, I've gone there only during summer. So my experience there is so nice. But
mm,
given the fact that I know people say it's not good during winter, I would say it's the best place I would like to
mm,
stay,
mm,
maybe in future.
mm,
But the experience
mm,
that I've had so far, good food during summer when we are suffering here in Osaka, the weather is so nice there. The population is
mm,
not, I mean, it's kind of a different kind of, Osaka is that kind of city that is very, very busy, like Nairobi.
mm,
So it's kind of
mm,
almost similar experience that like what we experience in Nairobi. But when I visit some places like those of Hokkaido, especially
mm,
the cities that I went in Hokkaido, they were pretty so relaxed. It was not congested or crowded, so it was good. My experience was good. The food, I really liked the food. Yeah, I've also been to Hiroshima like 2 times
Hiroshima.
also.
Okay.
Yeah, Hiroshima is also a good place. I visited a couple of places, including the Peace Memorial Park. I've also been to, of course, Kyoto many times. Kyoto I've gone many times. Kyoto is some place that I used to visit, but that was based on other people's recommendation. Like, you should visit Kyoto. It's very nice. Yeah, so I've gone there severally. I have been to, okay, Tokyo, of
Wait.
course.
Protas, wait. Let me stay with you in Kyoto.
In
Did
Kyoto,
you
okay.
visit the Golden Temple in Kyoto?
I think I did.
You did. You visited the Golden
And
Temple.
mm,
It's an
I
amazing
did.
site. It's an amazing
Yeah, it
site. I
is.
went there and took
Mm-mm.
photos. Like a lot of
Mm,
tourists go there, and I think that
mm,
if you ever visit Japan and you happen to come to Osaka, Osaka is and Kyoto not too far, right? If you try and
mm.
visit Kyoto and then visit the Golden Temple, it's an amazing site with
Sure,
the
sure,
how
sure, sure.
the scenery and everything, the design, the flow, the serene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, it's great. I'm happy you
Mm.
visited there. So
Yeah,
you've
I've
done
visited,
Hokkaido.
and also the Fushimi
Mm-hmm.
Inari. It's the place where we climb. Like
Um,
there's, I think, yeah, there's some, yeah, it's good, but unfortunately, to my own experience, I kind of think like once you visit Kyoto like several times, that's all. I mean, you will be, unless you just go back to the same place. There's nothing new to explore.
yeah,
For a new person, it's okay,
yeah.
but for someone like me now, I prefer now maybe somewhere else.
About wrapping up the conversation, but this question
Mm,
is very very important. Everybody who comes
mm,
on the show here, depending on your background, I ask you this question:
mm,
if there is that one thing that the
mm,
Kenyan education system must learn, and implement to ensure that the education system in Kenya, and of course, this is not limited to only Kenya and Africa becomes workable and produce more result-oriented individuals to try and work to change the story of Africa. What would that be from your experience being in Japan as a student or a PhD candidate learning? What would be that one
Yes.
advice that you advise us?
I think as an academician, one thing that I've realized is that in our countries, our education, it's not that so bad. I mean, the content, in terms of content, the content that we get from our countries is okay. But now, the way the content is delivered, it's really different from how it's being delivered here. Because in our countries, like I use Kenya as an example, because I have studied for almost over 20 years almost. So in Kenya, we have a lot of theoretical work. This theoretical work is being tested very tough because we have to do serious exams. So people have to really read these contents. And eventually, at the end of the day, there is no practical aspect of it so much. But then, when you come to a country like Japan, they have really invested on the practical aspect of education. Their system is, like right now, the system that Japanese education is using, Kenya is trying to adopt it as well. It's called the competence-based curriculum, whereby people are more into the practical more than the theoretical way. But now, as far as our country is concerned, Kenya, it is not ready because we don't have those facilities yet. We don't have enough resources for really delivering this kind of education. So one thing that I would really love to see our countries doing is to establish enough resources, infrastructures for our learners. Our learners need a lot of practical skills. You see, like in Japan, when they are talking about transport, their transport system is a good example to the world. Some people from outside our country, they come here for benchmarking. This benchmarking that our leaders come here to do, the Japanese learners are experiencing on a daily basis. The education system, it's more practical than it is in theoretical form. Theory, we are tested for theories, of course, but we are not doing the practical way. As a researcher, when I was doing my undergraduate, I really did a lot of theoretical. I studied a lot of things. But the moment I stepped into the lab, when I started doing my research, my practicals, that's when I really understood the meaning of my course. That's when I understood my value. With just the theories, I couldn't understand how I was going to apply what I have learned into the outside world. But the practical basis is the key. That's what I would say.
Okay. Protas, so you will not leave us without telling us this. It's a moment of truth. Have you had, or will you consider having a Japanese partner? And why?
That's a very good question. So personally, let's say I have never had like a serious relationship with or a serious like girlfriend in Japan. I've had friends, I can say. I have colleagues, friends in school. So we've shared a lot of moments as friends, not as maybe boyfriend and girlfriend, but honestly, also from my experience, I can't say that I'm really looking forward to getting a Japanese girlfriend or not, because with the experience that I've had maybe as friends, I've realized of course, they're not bad people. The friends I have, they're good people. But also, there is a lot of things that, as a person, I really need to forego, or I need to sacrifice in order to really concentrate on a relationship with a Japanese person. Honestly, that is what. Yeah, but
What are some of them?
I have never.
Wait. We are not going to say that on a flat land, and we allow you to jump and we want you to enumerate them, list them. What are the opportunities? They are called. In fact, I used to be an economic student once. They are called opportunity cost. What are the opportunity costs? In fact, list them for us to be able to know.
Yeah. So one and which is the most important for everyone is obvious. I'm thinking about my future. I'm thinking about my future, not just in my country or in my community. Of course, my end goal is to go back to my community and help my community. But this person, based on the experience that I've had, I don't think these people really have a future outside Japan. Their future basically is based here. Like they just want to spend their life here. So whatever, even when we talk, when we share some light moments, they always say, you should get a girlfriend here. Don't go back. Like, to me, that one doesn't sit so well with me, because eventually I want to go back home. Of course, I want to collaborate, to build collaboration with people from outside, because that is one of the things that I like. Like, not necessarily working in Kenya, but collaboration. But one thing that I really love the most is my society, my roots. So eventually, I really want to go back home and maybe do some investments, build a good house for myself. And I don't really think this person will be able to share this kind of life with me.
In short, if you happen to meet or find a Japanese woman who equally shares in the idea of resettling in Africa, in Kenya with you, and she suits the criteria that you set for yourself for being a partner, is something that you consider?
Maybe yes or not, but there are a lot of things that I really need to consider. I can't just say yes. That is not the only recipe for what I want.
Do you know the reason why I'm so particular about this question? Because I read the data and statistics and then the various reports from various Japanese portals every day, where they are lamenting about the low birth rate and then the population decline and all that, and the strategies that the system is putting in place to try to remedy that. I read a lot of reports on that, and I think that if you look at the Japanese system now, a lot of the young people are not so much interested in giving birth, and you're looking at how they can do that. How can foreigners, particularly Africans, can also help in making that contribution? That is to maybe encourage young Japanese women to maybe get hooked to Africans, and then try to see if they can, one way or the other, contribute to helping the system in that juncture. But of course, the big question is the barriers. There are a lot of barriers that are there that are scaring a lot of people, a lot of young Japanese guys, a lot of young Africans from doing what we are talking about. So I think that I well understand the point that you are making. So this is where we'll draw down the curtains on the show today. My guest on the program today has been Protus Omondi from Nakuru, Kenya. He's a PhD candidate studying in Osaka, Japan. He's shared an interesting story with us. He's told us about his experiences in Japan. He described a very interesting campus life that he's been having in Japan. Issues of racism, his experiences with the language, the cultural challenges. He's told about the funny experience that he had with the food that he bought from the company. I mean, a lot of interesting stuff that Mr. Protus Omondi from Nakuru, Kenya, has shared with us. He said, don't forget, he's a PhD candidate. He's one of the biggest brains learning here to try and go and impact knowledge in his society and community back in Kenya and at large Africa to help also raise the cause of the African continent. It's been an interesting edition and an exciting conversation that we had with Protus. Until we come your way once again with another edition or series of the One Africa, One World Show, I have been your regular host, Emmanuel Akyereko. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. Keep following us on all social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Jafric Radio Japan, same on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And until we come your way once again for the next edition, stay blessed and stay out of trouble. Thank you.
Are you an African living in Japan? Do you have a story to share about your experiences in this fascinating country? Join Emmanuel Akyereko on One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the program that connects Africans in Japan and shares their unique stories, from immigration issues to cultural shocks and from racial challenges to unforgettable moments. We will explore it all. Tune in every fortnight to hear inspiring, thought-provoking, and sometimes humorous conversations about life as an African in Japan. Don't miss One Africa, One World on Jafric Radio, the voice of Africans in Japan. Are you an African living